the button and it's being weird. Uh-oh. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. Welcome back, everyone. This is episode 5. I remember where I left off. I apologize. It's been a very long time, about a month to be exact, since the last episode. There was a lot of things that happened in my personal life. Um, got a son in middle school, and he had a bunch of recurring events. I also had a best friend who had a bachelor party and also a wedding in 2 separate weekends. And then I caught a really bad flu, and that kind of put me out. So I've just been burnt out and, yeah, just needed a break. I needed to stop and rest and just slow down because I felt like a runaway train for a good long while. I was just constantly trying to squeeze everything that I could possibly do in every single free second that I had, free moment. There was hardly a moment wasted. And then I just found out I was not getting enough sleep. Yeah. So, anyways, I'm back at it again. This episode's going to be a little shorter than the rest of them just because I'm trying to get back in the swing of things. I almost didn't stream tonight, but I got home early. I got a chance to rest, recuperate, eat dinner early, and not feel so rushed. Because that's another thing that sucks. I get home, and like half the time when I was streaming this, I'd get home and have an hour between home, dinner, making sure I was set up, and streaming something. And that was a beast, a hurdle. So I had a little bit longer, had a chance to slow down. And anyways, um, I've been postponing it for long enough. We're about to get to Crag Keep, and that's gonna open up the game significantly and include a few more extra rules and things to do. But before we get to that point, we're going to do a little bit of a lore dump. That way we can kind of get back into the spirit of things, get back into the world of Wrath of the Wrath of Wyverns, Sons of. Oh my gosh, gonna have to edit that out. I don't really edit these things out. Wrath of the Wyverns, Sons of Rivesk, a game by Lion Banner Games. There we go. Yeah, that just shows you how out of it I've been. So yeah, let's get to our lore dump. This one's a good one. It's probably the big beefy story, so this one will take a while, but that's okay because again, this is going to be kind of a shorter session. I'm going to get us to Crag Keep, explain a few things, and then go from there and see how I feel. But I'm not promising anything much further than just establishing Crag Keep and doing the introduction. So we're going to go and learn about Beliath, which is the main character or your grandfather. Or is it uncle? Oh, let us. Oh no, this is taking forever. I thought I was just gonna maximize, but there we go. All right, so Beliath. What is known of Beliath's final years was told by his friend Jacob, his trusted squire, and Melford, Magister of Crag Keep. The authenticity is based on oral retellings, and the story may differ from reality. Beliath spoke few words and cared little for banter or petty clan disputes. He found purpose in the Order of Skyfire. He joined its ranks during a decadent era when wyverns were considered extinct. By then, most of the members of the Order had abandoned their posts and claimed victory over the winged creatures. Uru believed otherwise. A battle had been won, but not the war. Deep down, he felt that the creatures might still be in slumber, hidden deep within unexplored crags, and would one day return to terrorize the Highlands as they had in the past. His belief was correct. Several wyverns appeared, but less dangerous, and were easily destroyed. However, there was one that would be inscribed in the legends of the Order, Rivesk. So there is the namesake, Sons of Rivesk. So we're about to learn a little bit about this particular wyvern. Though still young, the gigantic creature quickly unveiled its savagery across the Highlands. It destroyed and ravaged everything in sight, leaving behind trails of blood and the lamentations of those who had lost loved ones. Though Uru was a young man with little experience, he dedicated himself to finding ways to track and locate Rivesk. He was unsuccessful and found little assistance from his fellow warriors, and those who thought hunting wyverns was past history. Surprisingly, the massive creature halted its attacks and entered a decade-long hibernation. All that remained of it that day was a powerful beam of green light cast somewhere in the mountainous regions of the Highlands. It was a bittersweet end for Uru, who had spent years hunting the beast. Now all he could do was seek to rebuild the Order from the ashes of its former splendor. Few answered Uru's call except Jacob, a trusted squire hailing from a distant kingdom, who had heard the wyverns and wanted to witness them with his own eyes. His tongue had been removed by Irivian guards for plotting against his father, a diplomat who, in turn, was executed. Jacob was banished from his land and found himself at the site of Beliath. There was also Melford, hailing from the land of the kings, who took on the role of Magister of Crag Keep, providing counsel as they attempted to rebuild the Order with the little supplies and provisions they had. He scoured through hundreds of records, trying to find a way to locate the wyvern Rivesk, and find a weakness to end it once and for all. Years passed, and Uru's hope began to fade. He questioned his dedication to the Order and the hunting of a beast that all had thought extinct. But hope was rekindled within his fiery heart. Melford had made a discovery. In the ground around one of the highest peaks of the area, Dread Crag, Melford discovered countless obscure gems glowing with a green light. At first, he thought they were remnants of quartz, but he soon sensed the magic's essence within them. A low hum permeated the air, and he felt the resonance of magic in his hand. He later named the gems Verdant Tears. He believed that they were linked to the dealings of a powerful sorcerer. Their slow emergence in the cavernous walls of the Dread Crag suggested that magic was emanating from within, seeping into the outer walls over decades. They were the final signs for Uru, a trail left behind by something ancient, powerful, and alive. Sorry, scrolling, but it's not. With Jacob at Uru's side, he assembled a final expedition to find the missing beast. Melford sent word to the Arcanum Collegium about his findings, but they denied any help, claiming that the wyverns were undoubtedly extinct. The remains of these glowing gems led Uru and his squire to the Dread Crag, one of the highest and deadliest peaks in the Highlands. With every ounce of strength they could muster, they scaled the diabolic crag, its rocks and ledges providing no safety as they climbed. At the summit, they discovered an ancient entrance into a tomb-like structure. Squeezing through the debris, they uncovered a long flight of stairs that led them deeper into the Dread Crag. As Uru and Jacob delved into the depths of this temple, they could sense magic at work. As they descended further into its entrails, it became clear that the temple belonged to a bygone age when humans worshipped the wyverns as gods and made sacrifices and offerings to them at the summit of Crag Keep. They reached a large opening in the wall of the crag, large enough for a wyvern to enter. At its edge, they were struck by the enchanting beauty of the Highlands. Surrounding them were the green gemstones that Melford had talked of. They adorned the temple wall, glowing and casting powerful magic on the Wyvern Rivesk, trapping her inside. The pressure of this powerful magic began to crystallize the rocks of Crag Keep, eventually reaching the outer surface. As they turned, the sight of Rivesk was revealed, lying in the center of the temple, mind and body buried in a deep slumber. Around her lay hundreds of wyvern eggs of every color. Thankfully, none had yet hatched. In the inner temple, Uru encountered Arveshka, a rogue sorceress of the Arcanon Collegium, who sought control over the wyverns rather than destroy them. With Rivesk, she found hope in rekindling that vision. Using a forbidden spell, she had lured Rivesk into a slumber within the temple, and using years of spells and magic, combined with the glowing gems Uru had discovered, Arveshka had managed to bring forth hundreds of wyvern eggs, the offspring of Rivesk. She had waited years for the eggs to hatch naturally, but with Uru and Jacob's discovery of them, she knew it was a turning point in which the wyvern and wyvern hunters would meet again. Uru approached Rivesk, angrily recalling the burning villages and the screams of the innocent who had fallen at the hands and powers of Rivesk. He wanted to slay the Rivesk as she slept, and finally bring this chapter to a cruel end, but Arveshka refused, claiming that humanity was its worst enemy, and that the wyverns under her leadership could reshape the world. A brutal battle ensued as Uru and Jacob fought Arveshka with steel weapons while she used spells to counter their attacks. Finally, with a cruel blow of Jacob's spear, Arveshka met her demise. The last action to carry out was for Uru to slay the slumbering beast. He gathered his strength and gripped his longsword, Drake Slayer. He stood before the Wyvern Rivesk once more. Her breath caressed his hair as he raised his sword to slay the beast. Uru raised his longsword and lunged forward, but before his steel could strike the monstrous titan, he was pinned against the wall. Their eyes met as the winged creature awoke from its slumber, confused and dazed, but enough to realize that it was Uru, the last wyvern hunter she had faced. Rivesk began to lift her body, destroying the temple's pillars and bringing down parts of its structure. Jacob grabbed Uru and helped him race towards the summit of the Dread Crag, avoiding being crushed by the collapsing structure. They reached the summit and raised their voices in triumph, certain the battle was over. Ha! Huzzah! Rivesk was crushed beneath the shattering temple stones, and the Highlands could breathe again. However, the victory was short-lived. A thundering storm had taken over the Umbral Highlands. Blackened clouds engulfed the sky, and rain flooded the area. The ground trembled. A deafening clack split the air as the rubble exploded outward in a storm of dust and debris. From the ruins of the temple, Rivesk erupted with a thunderclap, her wings unfurling and her eyes burning like molten gold. She skittled along the muddy summit, gripping the ground with her claws, and skimmed headlong off the crag. The final showdown took place above the Dread Crag, where Uru and Jacob engaged in a deadly dance of combat. Lightning struck, illuminating Rivesk's curved, pale fangs. With a murderous gaze, she saw Uru and Jacob as mere scraps and vermin to be torn apart. With a piercing shriek, she launched into the sky, leaving a trail of stone and flame behind her. That was terrible, but you get the point. Her fury shook the very peaks. Okay, now we get to see some artwork here. Let's see. I've got to do it. How do I do this? There's a way. It's taking forever for this thing to give me a thumbnail thing, whatever. I'm gonna push this C. Okay. Ha! Toupee! Although I think Bob Saget. single page, and I'll zoom it in a little better. Let's appreciate this art for a bit, because this is probably like this has got to be one of the more epic pieces of art. And this whole entire book, this whole entire game is full of phenomenal art. In fact, I would show it to you guys, but I would boot me out of the game. But I actually made this image the title screen image for this when I log in. Yeah, here's the temple. You can see all of the eggies. Here's Uru, Beliath, Jacob. You can see his trusty dusty spear. Come on, game. I promise you, I'm trying to scroll down. There we go. Arveshka. And then right down here is Rivesk. I don't understand why it like slowing down so much. There we go. Now we can Hope turned to horror as her shadow darkened the sky. With a final guttural hiss, the wyvern raised her head and opened her monstrous wings. The fight for survival in the umbral peaks had begun. The furious winged beast descended with its powerful magic fire. Uru and Jacob both leapt behind a rock to avoid the attack. Uru began climbing one of the jagged peaks to gain an advantageous position to strike at the wyvern. However, Rivesk was quick to decipher his plans. The wyvern began another dive, widening its jaws to attack Uru. Jacob would not let his friend perish. He raced towards the center of the summit and sounded the wyvern horn, dazing Rivesk. He threw his spear with all his might, striking Rivesk in the eye. Rivesk screeched in pain, lost her balance, and stumbled. The moment was right, so Uru jumped forward, swinging Drakeslayer with all his strength. He sank the blade deep into the wyvern's head. Rivesk, the last stone-scaled wyvern, dropped to the ground, dying. The gigantic body lay motionless on the summit of the Dread Crypt. The furious violence emanating from her eyes had ceased. Uru took a deep breath, wiping the water and sweat from his eyes and forehead. He rose to his feet and staggered towards the beast, holding the fatal stomach wound he received during the battle. They had conquered the last wyvern of the Highlands. That moment didn't last long. A loud flapping of wings came from beneath the crag. Flying above the summit were hundreds of young wyverns taking flight. Uru turned to Jacob. Here we are. Nothing has changed. My job is finished. As is my time on this earth. Was it all or nothing? He slumped to the ground next to Rivesk as he took his last breath. Jacob knelt next to Uru's lifeless body, placed his hand on his forehead, and sighed. The Umbral Highlands will once again come to be home to the stone-scaled wyverns, the offsprings of the crags and cliffs of this rocky, tormented land. They are the children of Rivesk, and shall flourish and destroy as they see fit. Uru was buried next to Rivesk's remains. Jacob, the only survivor of the encounter, inscribed the following on a nearby stone tablet. Here lies Beliath, the last wyvern hunter of the Order of Skyfire, and the slayer of Rivesk, the last wyvern. He buried Drakeslayer, the sword that had slain countless wyverns, and carried the fury and hate of a lifetime. After saying a solemn goodbye, Jacob descended the Dread Crag and began his journey anew, following in his mentor's footsteps, hunting wyverns. Nothing is known of his whereabouts or actions. Beliath sealed the final chapter of the Order of Skyfire with blood and fire. The last wyvern hunter led a doomed expedition to find and execute the last stone-scaled wyvern, Rivesk. Though Uru had dedicated his life to hunting Rivesk to rid the Highlands of the beast, his quest eventually led him to find the monster. It also resulted in the resurrection of wyverns hatched by magical means. The cycle continues, and destiny awaits the next wyvern hunter. With courage and willpower, they will face the threat of the mutated wyverns once again. I'm not going to attempt to read this, as I am likely going to butcher it, but I could just imagine Aragorn saying this in that little sing-songy thing he sings. I don't even remember what movie, but he sings like a solemn tune. A man may flee from duty and hide his heart from fear, but death will find him beneath the shadow of the mountain. Jacob was more than a squire to the last wyvern hunter, Beliath. He was a loyal friend, though his tongue was removed as a young man, paying the price for his father's sins. His resolve remained unbroken. He fought with a long spear that he sharpened daily, which was able to pierce the thick hide of stone-scaled wyverns. With it, together with his mentor, he defeated Arveshka, the renegade sorceress at the Dread Crag. Though the Order's history speaks of Uru's name, Jacob's spear carved its place within his legend. As compiled by various sources, including common beliefs, records of the magisters of the Order of Skyfire, chronicles written by monks from several monasteries, scrolls obtained from the Arcanum Collegium, and oral histories passed down through generations. They have all been collected and pieced together to form the timeline below. Oh, okay, so that was for a different section. Well, at least we kind of have this. Okay, well, that was our lore dump. It only took a good 10, 15 minutes to get through, so thank you for sitting through it. And now we can finally get this game started. Trying to, at least. It's chirping on me now. Come on, please. Go over here. I don't understand why you lag so much. I don't want to close out of it because I know I'm going to need it. Yay! It's over on this side. Okay. And with that, we can start exploring. So, let's put some new tunes on. Of course, wait for it to load some more. It's probably the only reason I need a better computer. I don't really need a computer, but would make doing this a little easier and not have to worry about it lagging and slowing down stuff to do because I'm trying to show you guys things and I'm trying to get the music and the mood right. Okay. Oh, come on. The worst part is that if this is lagging, this is gonna lag too, so. I don't understand why are we being like this. Okay, there we go. I think that's working. Okay, so we left off after completing this quest, and now we're going to continue our trek northward. It's going to take us into the Highlands. Just waiting for it to finish loading the music. Oh my goodness. It's still like lagging from it. It's not even playing the new song yet. Right? I guess you'll get a dance in the meantime while I'm waiting for this to load. Okay, there we go. Kind of. It's switched over. Okay, well let's see if I can continue. Oh, yes, I am sorry. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. Normally I kind of go over the rules briefly each time I do things, so that way it kind of helps with repetition and anybody who's tuning in for the first time. So, at the start of your exploration steps, you will move a certain amount of points equal to your movement points, which is your stamina and fortitude put together, if I remember correctly. Hold on, let me double check that. I have it already mathed out here, but I can't remember what got me there since it's been a few weeks. Don't have it on here. I know what the rule is, or at least I know that I have 4 movement points. I'm just trying my best to explain it and elaborate how I got to that number. So I'm sorry. You'll just have to make do with that I have 4 movement points, so that means that I can move up to 4 hexes away. Now, with this particular game, there are actions that you can perform at each hex when you arrive, and they vary between 1 to 3 points, or maybe more. I think some of them, there are some that are 4, but majority of them are typically 1 or 2. So you'll want to make sure you save yourself a couple of points if you feel like you are needing to take care of some things, or you see that there's a landmark coming up and you want to check it out to its fullest extent. So I have 4 points, so I can move up to 4 hexes, or what that means is about 2 to 3 hexes, so I can give myself 1 to 2 points to do whatever at those hexes. Music stopped. There we go. Here's the part that I dislike. It makes it likes to act because it lags. Like my click is a long press. So then it's just like, oh, oopsie, it may be moving me 2 spaces away and not in the direction I wanted. Mm. You figured I'd give my computer a month-long break and be like, okay, that was a good little nap. Let's get right to it. But no. Technological limitations. Well, while I am waiting for this to load, I guess I can preface this with um, the hex that I'm about to move on, which is this one up here, is a Highland hex. And each hex has a set of actions. And normally you perform the actions when you stop and are choosing to stay there and camp for the night. Otherwise, you can't stop, do actions, move to the next, and do actions again. Um, However, with Highlands, you do. You actually have to stop and you have to perform a strength save to climb the mountain safely. So that's something we'll be doing whenever we climb one of these. I guess let me pull that up real quick just so that way I can show you guys the roll. Oh my gosh, come on. That's not where I want to go. Oh my goodness. Well, I'll just move over here eventually. But let's go ahead and if this will even load this. It's just not working. There we go. Where'd it go? Oh, come on, computer. Why are we hesitating? Good Lord. Yes, this is very entertaining. Mm. Close out of it. I have too many windows open. Oh my gosh. I just want to play the game and I want to show people this game that we've spent way too long coding. Come on. I know. I know I know you have it in you. You can do this. It's just one page. You can load it. There we go. So yeah, the first time you enter a Highlands hex, you must successfully succeed on a climb save. Once complete, you place a cairn to reflect that you know the route, marking it on the map. If no cairn is placed, you must always succeed at the climb when re-entering the hex. Okay. So this is the here. When first entering a Highlands hex, you must climb the rugged terrain to access the area. Make a strength save. Success, you've climbed the Highland Mountains. Otherwise, failure, you reach the area but lose 1 health. Once you place a cairn, you never have to climb this again. So that is the gist of Highlands. So we're going to go ahead and make our first save of the game. So this game uses the Fate card system, which is 6 cards. And each card has a symbol. And each symbol is tied to one of your attributes. And basically, the goal is, depending on the type of save you are making, you draw cards. Excuse me. You draw cards, and you want to make sure that they match the symbol you're looking for. So in this case, strength is the Wheel of Tyrannus, which kind of looks like a wheel on, like a steering wheel on one of those old pirate ships. Now, to make a save, you will always draw 1 base card for the save, plus an extra amount of cards dependent on your stats. Your stats go from 0 to 6, and for every 2 points, you gain 1 extra card. So 0, 1, and 0's no cards. You just gain the base. 1 and 2 gives you 1 extra card. 3 and 4 gives you 2. 5 and 6 gives you 3. So you can draw up to 4 cards, unless you have advantage, which means you can draw an extra one. In this particular case, I have 3 strength, which means that because it is 3 or 4, I get 2 points or 2 cards. So 1 for the base, 1, 2 for my strength. I have the Dara knot, which is not tied to any attribute and it's considered your luck. The Triskelion, which is courage. And A1, which is stamina, I think, if I remember. It's on here. Hold on. Not on that one. Yeah, A1 is courage. Triskelion, I'm sorry. Triskelion is stamina, not courage. A1 is courage. Sorry, it's just been a while. And I really didn't give myself a very good refresher. I just kind of skimmed through things, just what I thought I would need. For mainly the Crag Keep stuff. Okay, so I did not make that save. So I am going to take 1 point in my damage, bringing it from 8 to 7. And let me pull up my character sheet. I'm going to apologize because here in a bit, once I switch back, I'm going to have to turn the Fog of War back on because it turns off every time I switch. I'm not sure how I can fix that. Okay. Oh, that's right. Gotta click on this. Or I think it's this one. But this shows you the character sheet. So you can see here, here's the movement points that I was talking about earlier. So I have 4 points, and then I have my fury points, which is related to combat, which we'll get to once we have some combat. Go to my text here. Come on. Okay, there we go. Okay. Now we're switching back over. But as you can see, here are your stats. Courage, strength, stamina, wisdom, fortitude. You can get up to a maximum of 6. Your fury points are a combination of your strength and fortitude. Brood affects your strength. Sorrow affects your wisdom. And strain is how tired your character is. Typically, Brood and Sorrow you can function on and still perform what you need to when those numbers get high. But Strain, once you max it at 6, you cannot do anything until you take actions to reduce Strain. Done a good job at upgrading my character, but I don't feel like I'm quite ready to go up in Wyvern hunting level. I'm going to try one more time to click on it because, good lord, that was taking forever. Okay. Nope. Oh, wait, that's right. I have to go back to this. There we go. There we go. And now we move to this area. And now we're going to perform another save. Every time that you perform a save, you're going to reshuffle your deck. You never keep the same cards that you have. And there are even effects that will give you an opportunity to redraw your save. You'll start your save drawing again and retally whenever. So 1 for the base save, and then +1 and 2 for my strength. So here we have the Triquetra, which this one is your wisdom. But thankfully, I do have the Wheel of Tyrannus, which is your strength. So I succeeded in this climb, so that means I get to place a cairn. So where am I? Here we go. That's right. I've got to click on this. I'm sorry for one moment. I do have to type text. And I'm just going to type a C to let me know that I got a cairn there. No. Oh, wait. I need to make that. think that's how I make it. Yep, there it is. That way I can see on top that I have the cairn. Okay, so we started off here at 29, and we've gone 1, 2. So now I have 2 more movement points out of 4. We're going to go to this 41 up here. Okay. As you ride high above the surrounding land, you pass over a ridge and bypass an ancient runestone that can no longer be deciphered. Clouds loom above, signaling an approaching storm. Wind howls as it rips through the mountains and cliffs around you. Your eyes are fixed on the ancient fortress standing before you, Crag Keep. It's time to take refuge in the ruined structure once home to the Wyvern hunters many centuries ago. In those days, the stone-scaled Wyverns threatened the land of the Umbral Highlands. Men faced danger and hunted the Wyverns until they were considered extinct. Your uncle, Beliath, the last famed Wyvern hunter, took the last breath of the Wyvern Rivesk at the cost of his own life. As you step through the cracked gatehouse, you see the crumbling remains of Crag Keep. The once magnificent structure has been reduced to crumbling walls and broken tiles. "Is it really you?" a voice asks through the cold. You turn to see a small man in azure-white robes with thinning hair. As he approaches, he focuses on you, on your features, and says, "For a moment, I thought it was a room. Though, that's impossible." He nods his head. "I sense the same force coming from you. Are you really the descendant of Uru Beliath?" The man's eyes widen with hope as he waits for your answer. Suddenly, a flurry of wings bursts from the ceiling, and an owl lands on the man's shoulder. "This is Renard, my secretary of sorts. He has delivered messages from as far away as the Collection, and the news of your deeds has spread through the land. I had a feeling you'd come here." Runair takes flight once more, heading towards the roof of Crag Keep. "I am Melford, Magister, and caretaker of the keep. It may be hard to believe, but you should have seen it before I took on the caretaker duties. I was young when I met your uncle, and helped him maintain Crag Keep during a time of decadence. Come in, let's sit by the hearth. A storm is brewing." You enter the great hall. It's a grand room bathed in warm, orange light. The heat from the massive fireplace caresses your skin. All around you are tables stacked with piles of scrolls and books. Melford fills a flagon and hands it to you. As you drink, you feel the liquid burning deep within your chest. The taste of trees and oak lingers on your palate. Melford laughs. "Even though it's called Yusuf Behatha, the water of life, I can feel closer to death when drunk with a thirst. I have forage as well. Help yourself to the bowl from the altar." Now we remove all strain points, but we have no strain. Melford finds the remains of a scroll with a figure drawn on it and a combat technique described. "These are the remains of a training ground from the Order. I'm sure it could be useful in furthering your knowledge of the art of war." Melford says. We have some questions for you. So what is the Order of Skyfire? "Your eyes see what remains. I am the only known surviving member of the Order, and I study Wyverns. I do not hunt them." Melford smirks. "Oh, where are you from, Melford?"
I'm from Nanri. They call it the Land of Kings, though it was my birthplace, where I began my studies. I would not call it home. Here, among clan members, the power of nature, I feel at ease. I left home as a young apprentice and found my way to the Order.
Why do you still live here?
Where else would I choose to be? After your uncle passed away a few years ago, I decided to stay. I've done what I can to compile the records and history of the Order. It is an arduous task. I've found many scrolls in the basement, though I've had to painstakingly restore some.
What's up with your owl there?
He's been my only companion all these years. Though he is old, Brunner is still a reliable vessel. I cannot imagine life without him.
What can you tell me of the rise of the Wyverns?
These beasts are the Son of Rivesk. There is no record of Wyverns like them in the annals of the Order. They are the offspring of dark magic and mutation. There can be no other explanation. But what is their purpose?
Can you tell me some more about Rivesk?
Mother, a survivor of the Wyvern era. I suspect she was also she appeared when Wyverns were thought extinct. Your uncle dared to face and slay her, though it cost him his life.
Can you tell me a little more about my uncle?
Many called him a difficult man, a man with little time for laughter and chatter. His mind was wholly focused on the task at hand, hunting and killing wyverns, which he did well. His presence was always felt when needed, and Squire Jacob was always at his side.
Can you tell me a little more about Jacob?
I do not know what happened to him. After Ruru's death, I sense that Jacob was lost. Whether he is alive or dead, I respect him for standing by your uncle's side as the bitter end.
The fire-scorched corridor near the Great Hall smelled of ink and old ash. Beneath fallen beams and shattered scroll cases, you see the Skyfire crest etched into the stone, cracked but unbroken. Melford hesitated.
Those were the Order's deepest truths. Ritual, weaknesses, and even fear. Chronicles of those who witnessed the cruelty of the Wyverns firsthand.
There's something within you that yearns for truth and discovery. We're going to investigate the Order's archives by making a wisdom save. That's the Triketra. Little spiky triangle. So here we go. My wisdom is a 3 as well, so that means I get to draw one base card plus 1 and 2. Let's see. Triskelion. Triketra. Doo-doo-doo-doo. And I apologize. There's going to be, like we were doing earlier, I didn't even do this for this one. So I got to fix this. Normally there's a button that says reveal, which it's supposed to work with players, but because I am GMing this and I have no way of setting up a player account for me to use because I have to both simultaneously GM and edit things, it's just a lot. So, and as you can see, this computer lags. There's no way for me to open up a player only on this and run the GM at the same time. Otherwise, I would. Anyways, make wisdom save. You uncover a coded fragment referencing one of the Wyverns. Gain 2 hero points and a save token. So hero points are a wonderful thing. They are your currency as well as experience. Um, I know most of you who have played Dark Souls are kind of familiar with that concept of your XP also being your currency. But thankfully in this game, dying doesn't remove or lose hero points. You can lose them for certain actions that you take, but the game will typically telegraph those to you. Not always, but if you have to lose points, it's like a couple of points. Or normally choose a specific action, like a dialogue action. So in this case, I got my 2 hero points, which puts me to 19. I'm not going to jump back and forth with the character sheet. I just wanted that opportunity that first time to show y'all. But the one important thing is I have a save token, which a save token is whenever you make a save, if you fail the save and want to try again, you can use the save token. And like I said before, when you do saves, if you have to redo them, you would shuffle it all and then redraw. So either way, fresh start. You can only have one save token at a time. So I personally feel like they are not worth holding on to, since you don't get them too frequently, but I want to say every 2 to 3 quests you're gonna gain a save token, and there are some that will, you'll get maybe multiple in the same go. I feel like I got a couple on like one of the earlier quests. I don't know, but either way, hold on to it if you feel like you need it. But personally, I just say use it if you need it. Okay, well, I get my hero tokens and save, or hero points and save tokens. Let's move forward. So rebuilding the order. After the discussion, Melford stands up and leaves his drink on the table beside a seat. He walks over to a nearby table, picks up an oversized ledger, and returns to a seat by the fireplace. He blows the dust off the cover and opens the book.
For months I have felt a sense of great, auspicious change. In a way, I have been expecting. Together, we can rebuild the Order of Skyfire, the ashes of the once fires. First, we must find skilled fighters, scholars, magicians, and weaponsmen to join our cause. In time, I am sure it will become a place worthy of Guru Beliath.
You've arrived at the headquarters of the Order of Skyfire, where you met Melford, the custodian. The time has come for you to rebuild the Order and Crag Keep and create a fighting force against the Wyverns. Only then will you have the strength to hunt each Wyvern in its lair one by one. You can access the Order Ledger from Crag Keep, which shows members' positions, weapons, items to be crafted, and expansions to the fortress. Over time, as certain conditions are met, you will gain access to new inquiries. So, let's see here. I have a Crag Keep ledger. Oh, I have it with me. It's just in the backpack. Okay, I don't really feel like going all the way downstairs and pausing mid-screen, so let's just keep moving. Actually, I think I have the digital sheets, so I can pull those out. Now you can manage your base and access the Order Ledger, track your facilities, allies, lore, and missions. Crag Keep is the ancient stronghold of the Order of Skyfire. When Wyverns were believed to be extinct, a mass exodus occurred, and the keep was abandoned. You can now restore it, one wing at a time. You'll rebuild the Order's legacy as you journey, unlocking powerful bonuses and new story paths. How it works. When you rest at Crag Keep, you can spend hero points to rebuild a room or facility. Each structure provides a permanent benefit like healing, crafting, lore, or combat tools. Track your progress in the Order Ledger, which you can find in the rulebook or the game sheet. Record upgrades, effects, and fortress status. So let's see. I have here. So let's take a look at Crag Keep. Okay. So right now it is ruins. It's in ruins, and we need to build it up. So you can see that, as you can see, there are 4 stages, and they are tied to base upgrades. So, for instance, I can get it into working order with 20 points. I only have 19, so I cannot do that. I'm going to have to do a return trip unless in the rewards section I gain some more hero points, which may be likely. But otherwise, once you get it back in working order, then you start working on some of these different wings. And once you've I'm under the presumption you've got to finish all these upgrades before you build the fortified keep. Then you can start building these upgrades. And once you build those, you can build the Skyfire Fortress. So, not sure what any of these are. I mean, I kind of briefly looked at this, but let's go ahead and look at the second page. So the big important thing is once you build the Crag Keep and get it set up, you start accruing Wyvern alert levels. And this is kind of the overall gauge of how busy and active the Wyverns are in the game. Otherwise, before this point, the only way to find them is to gather the clues, which are still kind of rare. But this having, and either way, you're not going to be necessarily powerful enough to handle the Wyverns. Having these upgrades really go a long way. But this is basically the first. The first page is like all of your base upgrades and everything you can do there. The second page is more about the Wyverns themselves and tracking your progress with the Wyvern hunt. And then you've got a couple of upgrade places that you can visit. So you have standing stones. You can upgrade and basically learn the magic in the game. And then the Serpent Scrolls, which they're quests in and of themselves, and they also provide some additional insight, some valuable help. I've tried to stay as spoiler free as possible, so again, that's why I'm kind of like I don't really know too much about these. I briefly looked at this page. I wanted to make sure that at least I had these up and running and could start using them once I got the page up and running. So now we got those. Let's go to our Highlands. Okay, let's go to our rewards. Okay, I did. I gained 5 hero points. So that puts me at 24. So I can actually afford to upgrade. So we unlocked the mechanism. Crag Keep base management. Oh my gosh, that's like a mouthful for me. Crag Keep ledger and the bestiary or printed digital copy, which I have. The copies printed. They're just in my backpack, and I'm a little too lazy to go for them. I received 2 rations from Melford. putting me up to 13. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I forgot to use one this morning. So I'm actually at 12. I gained the armor Skyfire Hunter. Gain ability Skyfire Touch. Aha! Did not get a chance to program this in, or no, I did not. Yeah, you're not gonna be able to see that. I'm sorry. Skyfire Touch. It is a 3 Fury card, which allows me to draw 2 cards, and each of these cards cost 1 Fury point less to play during this round. Pretty nifty to have. Okay, and then mark it on the unlock sheet. So, Skyfire Touch. So let's go ahead and do just that. So I gained 2 points earlier. 2 points earlier plus the 5 puts me at 24. And then 13 rations. Yay, did that, and now we can come back to this page. Unlock the following narrative events and story quests. Reclaim the Order's watchtowers. Locate the Serpent Scrolls. And then I can do this. The Trials of the Flames can be attempted when ready. There's Crag Keep in all of its glory. And technically I could start this, but I am not. And then I guess, so let's see here. We're gonna camp, but before we do that, so I have one more map point that I can use, which it looks like I can't because I need 2 points. Okay, so I'm assuming the very first time you get that chance, but any other time, if you do climb through it, you've got these two. This is the very first time. That's what I'm going to go with. Okay. So I guess there's nothing that I can do there. I can go ahead and perform camp actions. Actually, I didn't even check to see specifically if that changed anything. Sometimes it tells you if there's different stuff you can do, like extra camp points. So I have 2 camp actions that I can perform. I normally will do stargazing. Since that usually helps me with removes blue. I don't want to do it. It's the other one, Drawing the Sorrows. So it costs. So I have 2 camp actions, and it costs me 1 camp action. Oh, actually, hold on. I don't want to do either of those. I'm still a little injured. So what is the fool here? Restore 3 health. I think that's what we're gonna go with because I'm a little wounded still. So let's heal up. Give me up 10 health points. And now I'm gonna use 20 hero points to build and upgrade. I keep forgetting. I keep jumping back and forth between these. Badoop. Badoop. Okay. So this is keep is now functional. Required before making any upgrades. Activate event 112. Sagaean Chronicles. So now we go to our book. Over here. And it's going to take forever to load. So I apologize. I'm assuming it's under narrative events. May as well start scrolls. It's on a higher number. Where am I? Whew. I figured I wasn't that far down earlier. I just wanted to stop for a bit. are all having a wonderful day, and I appreciate you guys for tuning in and sticking with me. I know this has not been my best session. I'm still kind of not 100% there, but I wanted to try to get something done before it ended up being way over a month. I know this game's getting or about to be delivered physically in people's hands, so it's kind of nice to have that little bit of a head start on everyone. And now I'm kind of losing it, but it's okay. This is a great game. I just wish that I had more oomph. I wish I could just dedicate my entire day to doing nothing but streaming or games. If I could do this for a living, it would be great. But I have a day job, a very full-time day job, and kids and other stuff. Life takes it out of you sometimes. You gotta stop and take care of yourself. How do I do that? I saw 101. It's gonna stink if it's on the campaign events or whatever it is. It's like two different things. Yeah, there's campaign and narrative events. There's stuff that's on here, and then there's stuff that's in here. It's the guy. Yeah, here we go. Activated once you have upgraded Crag Keep to working order. Normally I have these pre-prepared, but again, I didn't. Melford had spent many years compiling records of the Order's history. He remembers one that he meticulously restored to preserve, due to its connection to the founder of the Order, Male Sagayan. You carefully unraveled the scroll. The scent of ink and dust reveals its contents. Some of you have never seen a wyvern. Some have run and cowered at the sound of the wyvern's growl. You hid where you could, praying to long-forgotten gods to save you. You felt powerless in the face of these serpents of the sky. They razed our homes and slayed our loved ones, and here we stand before them, knowing death creeps in our shadows. We do not falter. Today we unite, not as scattered clans, but as Highlanders. The hour is upon us. There will be no quarter given, no retreat. Destiny has brought us to the slopes of Peak, where you will discover your true selves. You are not cowards or cattle for the Wyverns. You are Highlanders, proud and free. Today, we reclaim the Highlands. Today, we take back our homes. Alabugabrath! Male Sagane's speech before the Battle of Dayart. It was a costly battle for the Highlanders. It was their first victory over the Wyverns of the Dayart Keep, and at that moment, a fire was kindled in every Highland. Hope was born. A fighting chance to reclaim their home. Melford explains.
When an abyss threatened to engulf the Highlands, Mael stared back at it, not without fear, but with hope, and the belief that fate can be changed by those who will it, and are willing to sacrifice their lives for it.
Melford's eyes move away from the scroll and look directly at yours.
You have the courage. I can sense it, as I did with Moon. Believe in yourself. Not allow yourself to run. Whatever darkness and sorrow trail behind you. They are nothing but shadows. You carry the light that can bring hope back to Highlands. There are plenty of scrolls about Mael Sagai and other like-minded warriors in the Highlands. I think it's time for you to forge your own path.
He places his hand on your shoulder. It is the touch of a lifetime of wisdom, a kind-hearted man who has faith in you. That's it. No rewards, no nothing. Just a little bit of narrative. Doodle doop doop. So yeah. So we've got that, and I can come back to it to upgrade it. So let's go to the Crag Keep rules. It's just past the wheel of the year. Sorry, I'm just trying to pull it up so I can have it to go over it, read it in detail. I just wish that it wouldn't take this long. I remember checking it, and it was like right after. Oh, scatterbrainedness. Just wish it didn't take this long. It's the only thing I don't like about PDFs. Like in a book, I can flip to a page and memorize where it's at in the book and like get it within a page or two off. So like, nope, that's not the page. Flip it, and then I'll be right there. You got a PDF. It's like, I don't know. Oh gosh. Here we go. This is what I was looking for. Gosh, I should just scroll down a little further. Alrighty. I'm not going to read through all of this. I've done a lot of reading, and I don't know if you can tell in my voice, it's already getting kind of tired. But yes, so this is where now it's starting. It's very important to start exploring and branching out my exploration. There's a lot of things I can now do. I have access, so I can start exploring battlefields to start gathering artifacts, um, which I haven't really delved a little too far into those, but artifacts are a thing. I've already collected a few allies, so I'm going to do a little bit more digging and reading to figure out how the few that I have, interact with Crag Keep. There are a couple of watchtowers, and I believe I passed a couple um, on my way here, and even when setting up this game and putting in the quests, and I wasn't quite sure on the direction of how I was going to play this game. There's a couple that are near the starting point somewhat, or at least between the starting point and Crag Keep. I've passed at least two that I'm aware of. So those are very important with managing your Wyvern level and battling the Wyverns, keeping track of them. And then there is also the Serpent Scrolls. I've ran into a couple of those as well. I think I ran into one in this playthrough as far as showing it to you guys, but programming everything, I was like, oh shoot, this is another one. And both the tower and the Serpent Scrolls were set up in a way that basically you can't do these until you've completed Crag Keep. So I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna not touch these and look into them. So that's gonna be kind of fun to look at. But if you can locate the missing pages, they hold valuable clues about the storm source and strategies for defeating the Wyverns. And as I've already demonstrated, upgrading the base is something that's very important. It costs a lot of hero points, so now that's going to kind of impede with my leveling a little bit. But that's okay. I've kind of leveled up a good few times. I could still do with a few more upgrades, but at least I have enough for now, so I can kind of balance between the two. But now that means I need to be mindful of my points and always make sure that I save at least like 15, 20 points for most of those upgrades. So that'll probably be what I do is I won't spend any of my points until I get over 30, just to make sure that I have enough to go back. There is an upgrade that I'm aware of that lets you basically have like a messenger crow. Otherwise, you can only upgrade your base while you're at Crag Keep, which means a lot of traveling back and forth, and there's not really, I mean, the seeing circle or the stone circles, whatever they're called, standing stones, that's what it is. Those act like teleports, so I can use those to get around the map, but they're kind of scattered on the corners of the map in Crag Keep. It's not centralized, but I think there's only one tower that's close to it, but it's still a good, technically, 2 days walk. So I have to go through a bit of traveling and camping and other things before I can get to it. So getting that crow or whatever the messenger bird, so that way I can do my upgrading while I'm wherever. There are secret chambers to explore, like the trials. And there's other rooms too. What's the currency used to shape the attributes? Start the game to your journey, and as you complete quests, enemies return more hero points. Make you stronger, gain new abilities, and then use other abilities to expand more detail. But yeah, that is pretty much Crag Keep in a nutshell. Okay, and with that, that is the end of the day. So now I am at the start of the 14th day. 2 weeks. It took me 2 weeks to get to Crag Keep, which is, a lot faster than it took me to stream to get to Crag Keep. This game's a lot more slow. Actually, I'm going to do one more quest just because I'm aware of what it does, or what it is, so let's just move one. And since I already obtained the cairn, I'm going to do 2 movement. Highland. So check this. And 1 for the base. And 2 for my strength. I got the Daranaut, the Scallion, and the Wheel of Tyrannus. Sweet. Oh, I need to do that test. I guess I do technically need to. Why are you not letting me change your color? Okay, well, I'm just going to continue. And let's move on with this. We are no longer. Oh shoot! I am so sorry. Oh no! I could have swore I hit stop on that. I've probably been destroying y'all's eardrums with 2 looping songs. See, this thing is like laggy, and I'm so reliant on. I click the button, it's gonna turn it off, and it did not. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry if that was a little too distracting. Hopefully, the volume was low enough that it wasn't that big an issue. Okay. Though the arduous trek has left you tired and weak, you cannot fail to grasp at the awe-inspiring view before you. You have reached the summit of one of the highest peaks and stand above the land of your ancestors, the Umbral Highlands. Below you are enormous crags, endless forests, and villages where clans thrive. A rugged land with a fighting spirit. You remember the battles won and lost, the victories and defeat, the smiles and laughter, and the tears and sorrow. They all boil within your heart. You find a rock to sit on, and with silent words, you craft a poem to mark this moment on your journey, one that shall never return, but remain deeply etched in your heart. If you've already. Okay, hold on. I didn't code this right. So, build your oath poem. Draw 1 fate card per line. Then shuffle the deck before each draw. Use the lines below to form your verse. And I am going to. Oh, it's fitting. Let's write it on the back of our quest log. That way I can see it while keeping my character sheet in view. So, here we go. Here's our first card. Awen. Just that way you guys can see. So that reads, within the magical forests. Okay. Now we're getting ready for our second line. I'm going to give this another bit of a shuffle. And here we go. Triquetra. I will face the monstrous threat that threatens my homeland. Okay. And now we can get to our final list here. Okay. And then Elm. Or no. Yeah, Elm. Right. And I got the angled red. Yeah, there you go. I will protect those I hold dear with my blade and honor. Dear with my blade and honor. All right, so my oath is within the magical forests, I will face the monstrous threat that threatens my homeland. I will protect those I hold dear with my blade and honor. Kind of rolls off a little awkward, but that's okay. Write down the poem, then continue your journey. It will serve as a reminder of how you felt then and will always remain with you. And I also learned the tune The Four Winds. So it's in Gaelic, Celtic language. So I've got to go somewhere over here. Where is it at? No. I gotta look for a thing that's not quite bookmarked very well. Oh, this is not it. Bob Saget. I kind of wish it had it. I mean, it does technically have its own page, but it's not like bookmarked very well. I think it's over here. It's like it feels like it's thrown in as part of the explanation of the game. Oh my gosh, I just wish that it would load. I just want for this to load correctly and not take forever. All this to figure out which song I learned and which one I'm marking. I just remember it being on the right side, kind of like halfway down the page. I'm gonna see if I can find it on my phone here. The PDF loads a lot faster on here, and I can find it much faster. Here we go. Okay, Nasathir Goith. 4 wins, gain 1 movement point when traveling. And then what do I have? Rafgan, gain advantage on courage saves. No, I like having advantage on courage saves. That's a little more helpful. But I've got it. So sweet. Oh, and I guess the other thing I could look at. I'm pretty close to it. Sorry, I'm just looking at the armor that I got. Strength 3 stamina. Ooh. I don't have enough. But it is pretty useful. Okay. Alrighty. I guess I do need to finish. Let's see, that was 1, 2. 2 points. Do I want to try to climb the mountain, or do I want to explore the caves? I'd rather try to climb the mountain. So let's draw a fate card. Make a fortitude. My fortitude is 3. So it means I can draw 2 and I have a save token. So if I fail, I should hopefully not fail the second time. So 1 for the base, plus 1 and 2 for my fortitude. I've got elm. What is that one? Fortitude. So that's the one I needed. So I was like, I'm trying to double check and make sure. Yay! So I got that. Success gain plus 5 hero points. Putting me at 9, which is pretty nice. And then we camp. Let's go to our camp screen and close that out. I think treat wounds. Yeah, let's see. Let's go with this. So fortitude is 1 plus 2 base. Triskelion, Daranot, Tuketra. I'm using the 1 save token I had and redoing the save. So again, I'm going to shuffle my cards together. Okay, so 1 plus 1 and 2 base cards. Wheel of Tyrannus. Awen and Daranot, which means I failed. That's okay. I lose the save token, but I at least heal 3 health, and I gain 1 strain point. Oh, and I forgot I used a ration this morning. And now that should put me at the start of day 15 when I resume play. Okay. I'm sorry that was kind of a lackluster session. I didn't really do a whole lot of dramaticness outside of the lore and dialogue. I just wanted to be quick and easy and get another session out before it got too late. And I mean, it still ended up being an hour and a half. And a lot of that was idle time, probably a good 20 minutes. I'm sorry. If you like the channel, like and subscribe. Once again, this was Wrath of the Wyverns, Sons of Rivesk, a game by Lion Banner Games. Thank you, Richard, for letting me stream this and for supplying some of the additional materials. Go ahead and check the game out. It's available on Kickstarter. There should be a link in the description to the video. And yeah, hopefully I will be doing this again. I don't know if I'm going to do this next Thursday. I've been trying to keep things consistent and either stream Thursday or Saturday, preferably Thursday if I can. But there's just life kind of got in the way, and we are right around the holidays, so I'm not too sure. Next Thursday is Thanksgiving, so probably not. I might postpone it till the following week. That sounds like a good idea. Yeah. So I guess I'll see you guys in 2 weeks, and yeah. Bye, guys.